The internet has exploded after a wrestler was tossed off the top rope by another wrestler, only to be met with boos instead of applause. What really happened there? It's me, and you're watching. This is Pro Wrestling News. Today we are going to go inside the controversial incident involving LA Knight and Raji Jackson at WWE's live event in Madison, Wisconsin this past Friday night. If you missed it, here's what happened. Towards the end of the show, LA Knight and The Miz were set to face off in a non-title match. As the two wrestlers brawled around ringside, LA Knight whipped out a steel chair and smashed The Miz over the head with it. The Miz stumbled backwards, accidentally raking his eyes. Knight capitalized with a kick to the groin followed by a running blockbuster for the pin. However, the match was met with a chorus of boos from the crowd, and that led to an uncomfortable stare down between LA Knight and the audience. And then boos turned to full-on jeers when LA Knight grabbed the mic and tried to speak. And the crowd just continued to relentlessly boo him. So Knight walked off, shaking his head in disgust. And if you're like me, you might be thinking, why are they booing LA Knight? I thought he won. Well, that's where things get interesting, because according to multiple sources in attendance, the finish of the match was actually supposed to be the opposite. The original finish was supposed to have The Miz hit the skull-crushing finale on LA Knight for the win, but plans changed and the ending was switched right before the bell was about to ring to start the match. This change in plans resulted in audible groans from the crowd who witnessed the change. Some people even said that the energy of the building was completely sucked right out of it. When they realized what had happened, they went from anticipating The Miz winning to LA Knight winning in a matter of seconds. And some fans were so upset that they demanded their money back. With all of that being said, let's break down the situation and see what could have caused such a drastic change of plans. First of all, let's talk about how unpopular LA Knight has become since his return to WWE last year. The crowd routinely boos LA Knight and chants, "You can't wrestle," every time he steps foot into the ring. In fact, during his match with The Miz on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago, the crowd got so unruly that Michael Cole actually warned them to stop chanting those words because they weren't PG. So yeah, LA Knight is definitely not over with the WWE Universe right now. The Miz, on the other hand, is still one of the most popular members of the WWE roster. He gets consistently cheered by the crowd and is loved by fans of all ages. That's why it makes no sense that LA Knight would win a match over The Miz. It really seems like WWE was trying to push LA Knight here, and they did everything they could to make sure that fans knew that LA Knight was winning. For example, at one point during the match, LA Knight went for a move, but slipped and fell off the top rope. Instead of getting a sympathetic reaction from the crowd, they cheered when he took the bump. And to make matters worse, Knight sold the move like he was in tremendous pain. So that just made the crowd cheer even louder. Speaking of the top rope, that's actually where things got very interesting. According to Sean Sapp from Fightful, while LA Knight was selling on the top rope, Raji Jackson came up behind him and gave him a superplex off the top rope. Now this move is normally met with thunderous applause, but in this case, the crowd stayed silent. The silence was so deafening that Jackson actually looked around the ring in disbelief. And then LA Knight got up and sold the move, which drew more boos from the crowd. Now, normally when a wrestler sells a move, the crowd will react based on who the wrestler is. So if LA Knight was a babyface, the crowd would have cheered when they saw him sell the move. Since he's not, they booed, which means Jackson should have gotten a face reaction. But she didn't. The crowd was silent, and this led to a lot of awkward moments, including LA Knight selling a powerbomb that the crowd didn't see, the ref not counting the pin, and the stare down between LA Knight and the crowd. To make matters worse, there was also a near fall late in the match that had a lot of people scratching their heads. At one point, The Miz had LA Knight in the figure for leg lock, which should have automatically led to a submission defeat. But before The Miz could get the tap, LA Knight grabbed the ropes, which forced The Miz to break the hold. If you don't know, grabbing the ropes is an illegal move that stops the pinfall or submission. And when it happens, the referee calls for the disqualification. But that's exactly what didn't happen here. Instead, the referee simply told LA Knight to let go of the ropes. And then The Miz continued to work on his submission hold. After a few seconds, LA Knight submitted, which led to The Miz getting a clean victory. But once again, the crowd remained silent. So why did the crowd react that way? Well, according to Sean Sapp, many people in attendance felt misled due to the last-minute change in plans. He said, quote, "I spoke to several people who felt misled due to the change that happened right before the bell and the apparent lack of communication to the audience. One fan noted the awkward pause as the crowd processed what was happening as the bell rang. In addition to that, another fan said, quote, "The reaction was so negative because the finish was changed right before the match started, and it killed the vibe. People left confused and angry because LA Knight clearly wasn't supposed to win, which would explain why the crowd reacted so negatively to his promo afterwards. They were just tired of being misled by WWE, and apparently the company did something similar at a house show in Allentown, Pennsylvania earlier this month. During the main event, LA Knight was scheduled to team up with Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins of the Street Profits against The Miz and the team of Austin Theory and Alpha Academy S. Otis and Chad Gable. But according to reports, the finish of the match was changed multiple times leading up to the bell. Originally, the plan was for Knight to score the fall on The Miz, but that was changed and LA Knight ended up taking the pin for the loss. Then at one point, it was reported that The Miz was going to take the loss by tapping out to a double team move by Ford and Dawkins. But then that was changed again and it ended up being LA Knight that tapped out to save The Miz. As you can imagine, this led to a chorus of boos raining down on LA Knight and the crowd chanted, "You can't wrestle throughout the match." So it seems like these types of situations are becoming all too common for LA Knight. But why is WWE pushing him so hard? Well, if you watch our video covering the controversy involving LA Knight and Pat McAfee, you already know the answer. WWE is trying to turn LA Knight into a villain, and although it seems like they're doing a terrible job at it, their long-term goal is to have LA Knight win the championship and defend it against the fan favorites. And if the people hate LA Knight enough, he could end up doing just that. So what do you think of the situation? Do you think WWE made the right call by having LA Knight win? Or do you think they should have stuck with the original plan of having The Miz win? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to share it with your friends and family so that they can stay up to date with all of the latest pro wrestling news. And while you're at it, make sure to subscribe to my channel and follow me on social media. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.